Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of Dropping into Happiness. We are your hosts. I am Rachel.
And I'm Maggie.
All right. So, welcome, friends. It is the last Wednesday in September, and it is officially fall. I know it's officially like autumn, fall, and all that. That started last Thursday. However, we're having record highs here in Southern California. We're still like in triple digits over here. I don't know how it is in Florida, but like doesn't feel like fall at all. Not at all. I want cool weather and spooky season to begin, and it's just still so hot. I'm not happy about that.
It's cool spooky season in our hearts. And right now in Florida, we're preparing for a hurricane. So that's our life right now.
Are you really?
Yeah, a big one.
Oh, wow.
And it's just changed trajectory that it's probably going to come to the area of Florida that I live in. But we're still a few days out, so it's likely that things could shift. But yep, that's what's going on in our fall.
Oh my gosh. And aren't you kind of inland though? Like you're not right off the water, and that'll still affect you guys pretty harsh though?
Yeah, I definitely can. I'm in what's called the Panhandle, so I'm about an hour and a half at the most from the coast. But with even the strength of the hurricane, if we have severe winds, severe rains, we have a lot of live oaks. Trees could fall, hit power lines, knock out our power for quite a bit, or destroy homes. So it could be pretty aggressive, but
wow,
good vibes. We're just gonna think good vibes.
I know. Yeah. Woo-wee. Oh my. Well, I don't have any merch updates or anything like that, but Maggie, how's it going with Dopey? Like we got how many more days? How many more days till Dopey?
From the day that we're recording this, which is September 25th, we have 100 days and 5 hours left to raise money. For the fundraiser. So if y'all have missed it, if you're just jumping around, I'm doing the Walt Disney World Dopey Challenge, January of 2023. So I have a little bit longer than 100 days until race day, but the deadline for me to raise money for the fundraiser I'm running for, which is the Boys and Girls Club of Central Florida, is December 15th. And what's really cool is my original goal was $900, and right now I'm at $1,234.60. And if you're watching on YouTube, you might be able to see it's literally 1, 2, 3, 4. We're at 137% of the goal raised, which is so awesome. So there's still time. I think it would be really cool to get to 1,500 by the time I run. I feel like that would be totally doable. I want to give shout outs to recent contributors. Jennifer Brown, if you're listening, thank you so much. You mentioned you enjoy the podcast. My friend Josh and Maggie also donated, a fellow Maggie, which is really cool. Debbie Hicks, Debbie with a Y, as I like to call her, donated. Rebecca Palmer, shout out Rosina for your donation, and Barb Fitz. Yay! I think I'm pretty much caught up on the shout outs. Woohoo! So thank you.
I feel like a lot of those are people that I know as well, and in our WW fam. Like I feel like that's a lot of WW fam right there. So right on. Thanks, guys. So I remember a few months ago, our friend Yadira was on the podcast with us. She just did her first marathon. And she was talking on Friday in WW Workshop about like how her recovery has been going. And she was talking about how like her little tootsies, her toes were like raw afterwards and they're still sensitive, and how it was hard to stand up the next day and like all of these things. And I kept thinking, Maggie's going to do all of that, like, and then some. I just kept thinking like, oh my gosh, the things we put our bodies through, like, girl, because you've done marathons before though, so you kind of know what to expect, but I don't know if it's on this level.
No, I honestly have felt a little bit overwhelmed a little bit. I've done 3 full marathons, and I actually, in my most recent marathon, I lost a whole big toenail. Just the entire big toenail came off, and it took me until that was in January. Yeah, it took me until now to have a normal toenail. That's how long it took to grow back. And I'm in the process of training where it's just pretty daunting. There'll be like a 4-mile run I have to do, and the very next day 13 miles, or 5.5-mile run, and then 15 miles the next day. And I'm just thinking like, how am I going to make this happen? But all of y'all supporting me, listening to the podcast, donating to the fundraiser, people who are cheering me on Instagram and workshops, my own like close knit circle of family and friends, like they're going to get me through it. I'm going to make it. Will I ever sign up again? I don't know. But I will get to the finish line. I will get there.
I say it will be, marked off the bucket list and be like, I accomplished that. Yeah. Woo-wee. But yes, like you said, we are all behind you. I am so excited for you. I want to follow you on race day. I think that's so exciting. It inspires a lot of us to even try the smaller ones. Like, hey, I can do a 5K. If Maggie can do this big thing, I can do 1 mile. You know what I mean? Like, and that's all where it starts, guys, is just getting to the end of the driveway, getting to the end of the block. Like, that's how it starts. So
baby steps.
Yeah. Awesome, Mags. All right, guys. Well, let's hop on into this topic this week. So this is one I've wanted to talk about for a while because if you're fairly new to the podcast, Maggie and myself, the program that we both have used to lose over 100 pounds is WW, Weight Watchers. And so we have a point system when it comes to our food. We look at the points when it comes to, like, there's a whole algorithm of how points are found, essentially. And the higher the point, usually the less healthy the item is. So it doesn't mean it's something we can't have, but it just gauges kind of what we want to have more of and what we want to have less of. So obviously the things that are going to be 0 points or low points are things that we should have in our daily routine more often. So this week's topic, though, I call it sticker shock. So with WW, we have an app and we can scan a barcode on a product and it will show you that number of its, its healthy level, I guess we could say. And there are certain things that I remember when I first started to do the program that I kept thinking, oh, I got to load up on these things. Oh, I'm going to have a lot of these in my house and it's going to be so helpful. And then when I went to scan them, my jaw dropped. Like, I'm sorry, what? This is how many points? What? So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about this week. I wanted to see what Maggie's sticker shock was compared to my sticker shock. And maybe not even things that we scan. Like Maggie had said at another time that we had been talking, like sometimes just things that were in our everyday or in our routine frequently. And then when we went to go figure out the points for it, we were like, oh my gosh, I've been having how many points per day?
Right.
Wow. So, so one of my first sticker shock items was granola bars. I feel like those are so well marketed as just a health food that nobody tends to look at the sugars in these things. So friends, like I said, so a high point item, like I'll just give you an example. My daily points for the entire day, so breakfast, lunch, dinner, snacks, is 18 points. For me to be in a weight loss mode, it's 24 to be in maintenance mode. However, when I say the first time I scanned a granola bar, it was like 12 points or something for one bar. And those are not big bars. And this is not a protein bar. This is not a meal replacement bar. This was a granola bar that I thought was going to be a snack.
Right.
I mean,
and it's taking up a
blew
huge
my
portion
mind
of
when
your
I
day.
first said that.
Yeah, I'm with you on the granola bars, cereal bars, even protein bars, which you think like, oh, protein, it's packed with protein. I do just kind of want to address with the points algorithm. So it takes calories as the baseline, and then it incorporates the amount of protein in an item, the amount of carbohydrates, which also incorporates the amount of added sugar. So this is not natural sugars that you would find in things like fruit, but the added sugar. And then it also incorporates fat and fiber into the point system. And if you have done any research in nutritional science, or maybe you're a WW member and you've heard or learned this in workshops, the more protein an item has, the more likely it is to keep you satisfied, to keep you full, to hold you over to the next meal. So oftentimes if things are higher in protein, they will be lower in points than other things because they're more likely to keep us satisfied, and they're going to help us with muscle recovery. There's a lot of benefits to protein. However, a lot of protein bars are marketed to be beneficial, and they might be for the protein, but they have other ingredients or lack other macronutrients that can be beneficial, like fiber and things like that. So scanning like a protein bar and thinking like, oh yeah, this is going to be a healthy, quick snack, and it's 9 or 10 points, you're like, oh my gosh, no way. I really love Built Bars, and I'm an ambassador for Built Bar. Maggie Tracks Magic saves you 10%. Tangent. But
Yeah.
not all Built Bars
In
are
the show
created
notes.
equal, right? In the show notes. Not all Built
Yeah.
Bars are created equal. Some of them are 3 points, and then some of them are 6 points, because they're lower in fiber and won't be as full and won't be as satisfying. So protein bars were a big one for me. Another one was yogurts. I really thought all yogurt was the epitome of health, but some yogurts are just so packed with added sugars and other, additives that they're not as nutritionally dense or satisfying as other yogurts, like a non-fat Greek yogurt, or I've mentioned in our snack podcast, I love the Chobani Zero Sugar or the Light and Fit Greek yogurts. I heard triple Oikos Zero, I think it is a really good.
Yeah, Oikos has a 000 one.
A really good brand. So lots of those that are lower. And really, when I first saw that yogurt being like 9 or 10 points, I was thinking, this can't be possible. And I just kept scanning until I found yogurts that were less than points. And it was kind of like a trial and error. I was like, there has to be something out here that's less than points.
Yes.
Yogurt.
I stood in front of the refrigerator section, and my husband was like, "Are you seriously going to scan every single yogurt?" And I was like, "You better believe I am." But it was so funny. Literally a week ago, a listener had messaged us on our Instagram and was like, "Hey, I was just listening to the snacks episode and somebody mentioned a 1 point yogurt. I don't remember what it was. Can you tell me?" And I was like, "I don't think I mentioned that." So I immediately text Maggie and I was like, "What is this 1 point yogurt?" And she immediately texts me back. Guess what I picked up at the store this week, Maggie?
Yay! Chobani Zero Sugar. Woo-hoo! And
yep, that's what I got.
I also was shocked by cheese. I mean, because here's the thing, y'all. Just don't forget, if full fat cheese is a non-negotiable for you, you can have full fat cheese on WW. You can spend your points that way, especially now with personal points where we can add points to our budget throughout the entire week. There's really so much wiggle room to add in any of the things that we love. But I remember first learning about the points of cheese and being like, what? And like 4 points for a slice of full fat cheese, and you're thinking not worth it. So for me, one of the things that 8 times out of 10 is not worth it for me is full fat cheese. If I go to Chipotle, I don't get the cheese or the sour cream on my bowls anymore like I would have in the past, because it's just not sour cream too, a full fat sour cream, super, for me, high in points, not worth it. Can you still have it on WW if it's worth it to you? For sure. But a great sour cream swap out is just non-fat Greek yogurt. Very similar, and 0 to very low in points depending upon your 0 point foods. So cheese.
Well, and it's funny because I know we've talked about before how fruit needs friends. And one of my favorite combos with fruit is grapes and cheese. Well, when I first saw that too, I was like, son of a gun, I love me some cheese. But I discovered the light baby bells, and there are 2 points per light baby bell. I take my smaller bites with it and I still have my cheese experience. And just today though, because for those that don't know, actually, I even have I wore this one a few weeks ago. I'm wearing it again, my headband with my pumpkin spice everything. Yes, I got the pumpkin spice bagels are back in the store. That's a seasonal thing. I love those. But cream cheese, full fat cream cheese, is really high in points. And a great substitute for that, I get the light Laughing Cow wedges, and they're 1 point per wedge. And I can get 1 wedge onto both sides of my bagels. So it only adds 1 point to that. So still a little bit higher of a lunch than I would like to have, but it's a seasonal thing. It's something I really enjoy. And so I still make sure I have it in there. But that's been my substitute for cream cheese, is the Laughing Cow wedges. To me, it's still a soft cheese. It's totally still a soft cheese, so it works 100%.
Yeah, I love Laughing Cow. I use it on so many different things, not only bagels like you mentioned, but pizza, doing at-home pizzas or breakfast burritos.
Really?
You can put them in. Oh, yeah, you can use them for so many things. They melt really well. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
I like them on wraps. Yeah, I fill a wrap with,
Which I don't know how you feel about this, Rachel, and this is kind of off topic, but I have a couple of friends who, they take up issue with WW or other programs that might say, okay, like a Velveeta slice of cheese is 1 point on WW, but if you look at the ingredients of a Velveeta slice of cheese, there's a lot of words you can't pronounce. Some folks might call it chemicals, like in your food. That doesn't bother me because I'm like, you know what? I was more likely to have health complications and issues from being overweight than I am from having this low point chemical piece of cheese. But then how like a full fat minimal ingredient piece of cheese can be higher in points. I don't know. What's your take on that? I know that's kind of off topic, but how do you feel about it?
Honestly, that makes me think of my soda because, right, a full soda, a full Coca-Cola can is like 9 points, and a Coke Zero is 0 points. However, there is that argument that, oh, well, there's a lot more chemicals in it now. Like, how are they sweetening it? What are they putting in it to make it 0? You shouldn't be consuming those chemicals, regardless if it's a 0 point food. I still take it in. I know some people are very much like, oh, I would just rather have the regular sugars and all the artificial things that they put in there. But I guess I go point and not chemical. Like, I don't look at the chemicals, I look at the points on things.
Yeah, like I just kind of let my decisions be based off of the point value and in theory, the nutritional density versus like the ingredients on the list is for things like that, like for things like diet soda, for things like cheese, even things like the low point yogurt. It's like, yeah, some of them are gonna have some added ingredients, but to me, I'm like weighing the pros and cons here of, am I gonna live with satisfaction and lose weight in a healthy and sustainable way and avoid things like heart failure and diabetes, or the other option where I don't learn these behaviors and I don't learn how to stay in a calorie deficit, and then and if I always joke, because I have had students even tell me like, Miss Smith, you're drinking like cancer juice when I'm drinking my diet soda, because there's like those like articles out there that, there's articles out there that claim that like the chemical, but there's not enough science or research to say that these things can actually cause these horrendous things to happen to us.
Well, but like you said too, like if we were 100 pounds, 150 pounds overweight, like we have a lot more, there's a whole list of things that could be going wrong. Because I mean, think about think about the amount of veggies and nutrient dense things you do put in your body compared to how much diet soda. You know what I mean? Or that one slice of Velveeta, like it super outweighs. Like, I'm with you on that one, 100%.
I randomly thought of another sticker shock item because one of my favorite foods in the world is like a pork sausage breakfast sandwich, like from McDonald's or Burger King. I love a sausage breakfast sandwich. So when I first learned the points of pork sausage, I was shocked. It's like 9 points for a patty of pork sausage. And I'm like, what? Like one breakfast sandwich could be like 18 points. So I learned, okay, like turkey sausage is lower in points, or chicken sausage can be lower in points. So I made some serious swaps in my breakfast sandwich ingredients, and like the Thomas light English muffins, and those are 2 points on personal points now. They used to be 3. So that's exciting. Can I just share? This is a tangent, but I meant to tell you, and I just thought of it. I was at a restaurant in Montgomery, Alabama called Chappie's Deli. And on the menu, they had a sandwich called 5 Point Turkey Sandwich. And I looked at the ingredients, like what it had listed on the menu, and it was like multi-grain bread, turkey breast, lettuce, tomato, mustard, and a fruit cup. And I was thinking, is this, and even Seth was like, I think they're calling that because of WW. Like, I think they're making a point about WW. And I was like, no way. And so I asked the waiter, and the waiter asked the owner's son, who happened to be working that day, why do they call it the 5 Point turkey sandwich? And he said, oh, it's for Weight Watchers. And I was like, imagine if every restaurant in the world had like a weight Like a Weight
Yes.
Watchers specific item. I was like, oh my gosh, that's freaking amazing. The 5
I think
point turkey
Applebee's did they had like a whole section. Either Applebee's or Chili's had like a whole section for a while. I haven't been to either one of them in such a long time, since pandemic lockdown. But I remember they used to have a whole section. And it was always so exciting for me because I'm like, cool. Like I wouldn't have to worry about, pre-planning. I just go in there and I would know exactly how many points things were. And that was always really cool. Oh, speaking of eating out though. So Maggie and I were talking kind of before we started recording about, maybe even things that we were eating regularly. And then once we started tracking with WW, like maybe a meal or something that we were like, holy cow. I actually have a couple. So I think I might have mentioned a super long time ago that I'm such an emotional eater. When I would get really, really, really upset, my go-to meal was going to KFC. I would get 3 chicken strips, a side of mac and cheese, a side of mashed potatoes, a biscuit, a large Pepsi, and like honey mustard. And I want to say the first time I tracked that whole thing, it was probably at least 2 days worth of points in that one meal. I kid you not, I have not gone back since then. For one, that actually helps me because knowing how many points that is, I guess, is having a solid number to it. And I know just looking at the calories, that could have been helpful, but just knowing that that's what I was taking in a moment of stress or anxiety, like that actually gave me more stress and anxiety thinking about that. So it's actually kind of helped me not go back for that. But something else I was having on the regular, because I love sushi. And this was actually a sticker shock that happened to me a year into my 3rd journey. So I was really good about tracking all of my things. And I remember the first time I tracked my sushi, because like I love going to the restaurant and getting sushi, but however, my grocery store has this nice little, like on the deli corner, they make fresh sushi there. And so there was one that I absolutely love. I'd get it once a week. And I turned that into my stress food. Like if I was really having a bad day, my husband would be like, do you want me to grab you some sushi? And I was like, oh yes, thank you. Cause in my mind, it was 7 points. I scanned it. It was 7 points. I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. This is perfect amount. A year later, I don't even know why I was looking at the nutritional data on it again. And I realized what I scanned was for 1 serving.
And how many
Friends,
servings?
there was 3 servings.
Oh no.
3. I know. And like, I was so stressed out. I was like, oh my gosh, this is 21 points. And my husband kind of looked at me and he goes, yeah, and you've been having it for an entire year and you still lost weight. And I was like, that's very true. Very true. But like, dang it. I was so excited that it was only 7 points. No, it was 21. And that was when I had to realize, even though I'm scanning things, I have to start looking at the serving size of things too, not just because those serving sizes get you, man. Like that totally got me. I learned my lesson on that one. Mm-hmm.
But it's also proof, I mean, your husband kind of made a point that you can still have higher point things on your journey, whether you knew they were higher point or not, and still lose weight and be successful. And so I hope that we just take a moment to be clear. Anything that we've had in our WW journey as a sticker shock item, it's still on the table. It just might take a little bit more strategy than other things that are lower in points. It's like, oh, no problem. I can fit that 1 point yogurt into my day. But then I can also fit an 18-point cheeseburger into my day if I wanted to. It's just a matter of leaning into 0 point foods and adding points from veggies and water and activity and using weeklies and all those things. So I think it's important to recognize that each person on the WW journey is going to decide what they consider a sticker shock item, what they consider not worth it, like the KFC meal of like, okay, I'm not going back there again, or okay, this meal is still really important to me, so I'm going to plan for it once a month, or whatever the case may be. Everybody's going to be different on that.
Oh, I still have that sushi.
Right or wrong. One thing I have way less now than I used to in the past, donuts. And because donuts are kind of higher in points, depending upon what you get, of course, and they don't keep me full. And it kind of reinforces the program. Like I could eat like 3 or 4 donuts and be hungry in like an hour. And I have, if y'all are interested, my Instagram, MAGGIETRACKSMAGIC, I have a highlight on my page called calories versus personal points, because I've learned through WW that low calorie doesn't necessarily mean healthy or satisfying or nutritionally dense. That's why a Lucky Charms cereal bar is 100 calories and 5 points, while for me, a banana, which is approximately 105 calories, is 0 points, right? And not saying that one is bad and one is good. It's just like, hey, there's more nutritional value to this than this cereal bar. And hey, maybe you pair them together and you'll feel even more satisfied than if you just would have eaten either one of them by itself. So I have a lot of information about that on my page if anybody listening is interested to check that out. That was a big eye-opener, because I don't know about you, Rachel, but sometimes I'd scan something and be like, oh my gosh, it's like 10 points, but it's only like 150 or 200 calories. Like, that doesn't seem like a big deal. But then again, when you look at the breakdown of how it's really going to benefit you or not, that's where the point system can be helpful to make overall healthier choices than like low-cal choices.
Oh, yeah. When I was living in Texas, I did a low calorie, I did a low calorie thing. And I remember that. I remember like adding donuts to my day because I was like, oh, this is really low in calories. I can totally have a donut today. But I would be out of my calories by dinner and be starving and feel like I couldn't eat anything else. And then I started doing WW and I was like, wait a minute, like, yeah, like I can still eat these nutritionally dense things. And maybe if I was eating something that was higher fiber, like my breakfast now currently has fiber, calcium, protein, and it really gets me going for the day, like compared to say a donut. But yes, I remember that. I remember looking at the calories and thinking, oh, I can easily fit a donut into my day. Like it was so low in calories, but not looking at the sugars, not looking at, all of these other things in it and the white flour and all these things that are just going to make me literally hungry 30 minutes later. And then I wanted to eat more and just, that's what I do like about WW. We look at the nutritional value and how it affects our bodies and not just, oh, this is lower in calories. Like there's so much more to it.
Yeah, I think even just going off of the donut example, it's like, okay, well, if I have one now, then I'm more likely to pair it with 2 eggs and some fruit and something like that, where I know it's going to be more of a well-rounded experience that will keep me more full without necessarily affecting my points budget. Like, I wouldn't have learned that idea if I hadn't have done WW. Like, I would have just eaten the donut and then eaten something again later because I was hungry, rather than like, okay, how can I make this a part of my day? So I hope that this little sticker shock conversation has been helpful to someone out there. And if you've ever experienced sticker shock, it's normal. We experience it every now and again when we pull out that barcode scanner. So yay.
Oh, I know. And there's so many more things that I feel like we could have talked about, but and like we said earlier too, this does not mean that they can't be a part of your life. But once we realize some of these sticker shock items, we realize what we can kind of weed out, maybe not have as often, or maybe how can we figure it into our day. But it's not something that necessarily has to be taken out completely, but how do we find that balance with it now? So I think this was a fun conversation. Like I said, I've been kind of wanting to talk about this one for a while because I had a few sticker shock days. But let's get into our star goals and recommendations. Do you have a star goal for this week, Maggie? Are you looking at Dopey, or like are you thinking your meal plans? Because you've been doing really good with that for school.
I really am very proud of myself to have had 8 weeks of consistent meal prepping up until this point we're recording. So I will be traveling back home tomorrow. I'm with my parents this weekend. And so we're going to be getting in, hopefully not too late on a Monday, but I'm going to have to meal prep when we get home for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. And I'm kind of not looking forward to it, but I keep reminding myself that it's going to be so valuable to just take that time, even if I'm going to be a little bit drained from the journey home, to set myself up for success. So even though, yes, I have been continuing my momentum because this week is a little bit different and I'm not doing it on a Saturday or a Sunday, I'm going to speak it into existence here with the podcast that as you all are listening to this on Wednesday, I will have meal prepped and I will be eating the meal prep that I prepped. And my recommendation, I'm so bummed with myself because I remember doing something this week and being like, oh, that's a good podcast recommendation, but now I can't think of what it was. So I'm just going to recommend to use your barcode scanner. And if you do scan something that's higher in points, but you're like, dang, I really wanted that, think about what kind of 0 point foods you could pair with it to make it go further in your day and in your satisfaction level without impacting your budget past that item. So that's my recommendation.
Yay! And so my goal for this week, I said it a couple weeks ago, like, I got my new bike and I wanted to start using it. Yeah. I would really like to start riding my bike to the radio station because I work at a radio station throughout the week. And like I said, I got my promotion, so I'm doing more hours there. But I'm kind of scared because I'm still not really used to riding it on the street for long distances. So I want to get more comfortable with it. So this week I want to ride a little bit further out from my house and still just get really comfortable being on the streets and things like that. Because I do really want to start riding it to the station. Because like I said, I'm 3 miles from the station. I mean, come on. But I guess I'm so paranoid to be a cyclist like on the road because I'm used to riding around neighborhoods, not through major intersections and things like that. So I want to get more comfortable with that. And then my recommendation this week is, guys, write down something that you enjoy. And if this is something that is you truly enjoy and is non-negotiable, like Maggie said, maybe whole fat cheese, maybe whole fat milks, maybe a certain restaurant, keep that in your life. Keep that in your routine. Keep that in your day. I actually had somebody, I don't know if anybody's ever had this happen to them. Like when people realize that you're on WW and you're doing really well, people will be like, hey, can you just tell me what to eat? Yeah. And I always start by telling them, well, I don't know what you enjoy. And they're like, well, no, can you just tell me what to eat? I'm like, well, first I want to know what you like to eat. And they're like, no, just tell me what healthy things to eat. And I'm like, first I need to know what you like, because don't cut those things out, guys. If full fat cheese is non-negotiable, wicked, keep it in your day. But write it down. Write down some of the things that you're like, this is something I truly want to keep in my routine, and figure it out. You can find that balance. You keep it in there. And so that's what my recommendation is going to be for this week. So
yeah, because if you don't like something, you're not going to stick with it. So I think it is important that you prioritize the things that you do like. I have a quote for y'all before we wrap it up, and it's no regrets in life, just lessons learned. Woo-hoo.
Yes. Yep, we fail at nothing, friends. That's that first attempt in learning. All right, guys. Well, it is time for us to wrap it up. Yeah, and I want to do a little teaser. I feel like next week, I already told Maggie I want to talk about this for next week's episode. So a little teaser. Next week's episode, we're going to talk about positive reinforcement versus negative reinforcement. Because, come on, I feel like we've all done a little bit of both. So we're going to talk that out. But yeah, hope to see you guys next week. And thanks for dropping by.
Have a magical day. Bye.
Yay.